Welcome back, lottery fans, and today I want to show you a new rundown I've been working with for June of this year, and I've been tracking it in several different states and it's working in several different states, but I'm going to show you the example in 2 different states how to do this, and then I'll actually show you where it's actually hitting as well. And the 2 particular states I'm going to show you, I'm showing you these ones because they share some really interesting properties that make this rundown very interesting. And I'll be interested here if you do this rundown in your state, whether or not it shares the same properties and you're seeing the same patterns. But these 2 shared some pretty interesting insights around the numbers that are coming out of the rundown and the numbers that are being picked out in the drawings. So let me go ahead and jump into this. So to do this is a little bit different than the rundowns we've done in the past. I'm calling this the Delta rundown. And as always, as I get into it, it'll make sense by calling it the Delta rundown. But let me go ahead and show you how I do it for the first state. The first state I'm going to show is Colorado. Now, in terms of the date that we need to pick for my base number, I actually started seeing this working on June 1st. That's the base date that I started using. And we actually need 2 results. So you notice I didn't put whether or not we're doing evening or midday. That's because we're going to actually use the crossover between the evening and midday. Now, if you have a state that has only 1 drawing per day, you can use subsequent days. So you can use June 1st and June 2nd. Or if you have a state that has more than 2 drawings a day, you can pick any of the 2. Do some backtracking to see which of the 2. You know, maybe it's your morning and midday. Maybe it's your nighttime and your morning. So do some tracking to check on that. But for Colorado, I'm going to be choosing the midday number and the evening number from June 1st. And in Colorado, that in the midday it was a 281. And in the evening it was a 596. Now, we're actually going to need the 1 number to put in our grid because we're going to use our traditional rundown pattern. But to get that number, we're going to take the midday and we're going to take the evening, and we're going to find the delta number between the delta numbers. Now, what I mean by that is if you put those numbers stacked on top of each other, so we put a 2, 8, and a 1, and then we put a 5, 9, and a 6. What we're looking for is the difference between each of these 2 numbers. So the difference between 2 and 5 is 3, because you have to count up 3 numbers to get to 5, or 5 minus 2 would be 3. So that's the delta number for that one. Delta between 8 and 9 is 1, because there's only 1 number difference between the 2. And delta between 1 and 6 is 5, because there's 5 numbers between 1 and 6. If you take 1 from 6, you get 5. Now, I don't do it straight subtraction because sometimes the top number may be more, sometimes the bottom number may be more, so I'm just calling it a delta. That way it's a little bit clearer. If you're trying to subtract from each other, it might get a little bit confusing as you have top numbers being more than bottom numbers and so on and so forth. So now we've got our delta number, our 315. We can put that in our base grid here in our standard pattern, top left, bottom right, like so. And then we can go ahead and use our reverse counting up pattern to get that, to fill in the rest. So we'll go 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, 1, like so. And then we're going to go ahead and use our mirror numbers to fill in our translated grid. And if you don't know what the mirror numbers are, you can get them on this Pick 3 rundown worksheet. This is actually completely free to download from lotterypredictor.com. Just go to our resources section. There's a link down below in the description, so you can go directly there. But go ahead and you can download this sheet. You can do the rundowns yourself, and you'll see the mirror numbers here already predefined for you, so you don't have to worry about knowing them already. So we take the mirror numbers for each of these numbers, fill them in on the translated grid. So the mirror number of 3 is 8. Put an 8 in there. Mirror number of 8 is 3. Put a 3 there. Mirror number of 7 is 2. Put a 2 there. Mirror number of 9 is 4. Mirror number of 1 is 6. Mirror number of 6 is 1. Mirror number of 0 is 5. Mirror number of 1 is 6. And the mirror number of 5 is 0. There you go. So that's the rundown. That's how to do the delta rundown. That's how to figure out what the delta number is, how to fill in your base and translated grid. Now let me go ahead and show you for Colorado where this has actually been hitting. And for this, because we've used the midday and the evening number, we're actually going to be looking at both the midday results and the evening results to find those hits as well. So we'll list all of those out from there. So it started off on the 3rd of June in the midday, and our result was a 196. And if we go ahead and look on our base grid here, when we look at the base grid, we find that as a straight across here, 916. There's 196, 916. So it was a box hit straight there. Then actually in the evening, so 6-3 in the evening, in the Colorado Evening Lottery, we had a 4-6-3. And when we go ahead and we look on our translated grid, we actually have that right here, 4-6-3, right there. Is that with that right angle hit right there, 4-6-3. Carrying on to the 5th, so 6-5 of June, in the midday, we had a 6-1-9. So interestingly enough, we had a 6-1-9, which was a repeat of this number. So we hit on this line twice. That number hit twice in over 2 subsequent days in the midday. Very interesting. So definitely that number's worth looking out for. Then on the 7th of June in the evening, the result was a 6-6-4. And if we go ahead and look at our translated grid, we actually had the mirror opposite. We had these 3 numbers here. So we went up before, now we're going down. So we had a 6-6-4 right there in the evening lottery on our translated grid. Moving on to 6-8, the 8th of June. In the evening again, we had an 809 as the result. And looking on our translated grid, we have right here 890. So another box number, 809, 890 right there on the base grid. Then on the 10th of June, in the evening again, so we were seeing several hits in the evening at this point, we had a 915. So once again, on our base grid, 915 hit right here. So we used that 9-1 from the center and then dipped down to a 5. So definitely getting a lot of play out of this 9 and this 1 here. We actually saw it twice on the grid because we could have gone 9-1-5 right here as well. So there was a clear indication that this 9 and these 1s were hitting because we've used them 3 times and we could have played those twice on each time. So very, very key to watch out for that 9 and that 1. Maybe they'll show up on subsequent ones as well. And then finally, running out of paper here, but so on 6-11, so the 11th in the evening again, we had the result 187. And that's on our base grid. One more time, we had that number on this right angle here, 187 right there. So there we go, we ended up getting 7 hits in the last 2 weeks out of this rundown for the Colorado lottery. So definitely go ahead, continue playing this in Colorado. I feel pretty good about this one. But let me go ahead and jump into the second state now. I'll do the rundown again and I'll show you the similarities that I was noticing between Colorado and the second state. Created some very interesting similarities as I started off doing this rundown. And I'll point those out to you. So the second state that we're going to be tracking is going to be Maryland. Once again, we'll be doing the evening and the midday drawing from Maryland, and this started 6-1 as well. So our evening result was a 5-5-2 in the midday, and our evening result was a 4-2-7. So we're going to go ahead and get the delta of those 2 numbers. So we'll do that again. We'll write our numbers down here, 5, 5, 2. And underneath it we'll write 4, 2, 7. And to get the delta, we're just looking at the 2 numbers and finding the difference between them. So the difference between 5 and 4 is 1. The difference between 5 and 2 would be 3. And the difference between 2 and 7 would be 5. And this is why I'm saying don't worry about doing plus or minus. You can mentally if you want to, but it's no hard rule because these 2 numbers are greater than the bottom number, but this top number, this last number is less than the bottom number. So we're just looking for the deltas. There's no negatives in here. We're just looking for the difference between numbers. So we end up with the 1, 3, 5. So go ahead and put that on our grid here. And that's the first similarity we saw there. So if we look on what we had for Colorado, we actually came with a 315, and in Maryland it was a 135. So it's actually the same number, just boxed. So even though our base numbers are completely different, we had a 281 and a 596 in Colorado. We had a 552 and a 427 in Maryland. We ended up getting the same delta number. Now, you don't need to have the same delta number for this to work in your state. I just found this very interesting that between these two states I was tracking, this same delta number came up, and we actually had a lot of hits because that same delta number come up. That's it. Doesn't have to happen in your state. It was just an interesting coincidence on this one. So we're going to go ahead and do that same counting up pattern. So we go from 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, 1. And then we'll go ahead and use our mirror numbers to get our translated grid. So that will be a 6, 3, 2, 4, 8, 1, 5, 6, 0, like so. And that's where we start seeing another similarity here, because we actually got these bottom lines here turned out the same because we had that 5 on the bottom. So that's not surprising. It was just another little similarity there. So let me go ahead and jump into where we started seeing those results in Maryland. So once again, our first hit was on 6-3, and on 6-3 it was in the evening, and the result we saw was a 9-1-6. For those of you that are observant, you might already have spotted the second pattern I saw. So we had the 9-1-6 in our base grid right here. Now this is the second part that made this pattern extremely interesting, because when we look at what we had in Colorado, in the midday was a 9-1-6, and this time we had a 1-9-6, and this time we had same day, but in the evening instead, same number, a 9-1-6. These are box numbers, so these are the same. So we had the same delta number, and we had the same result on 6-3. So very interesting. I would definitely keep an eye out for this 9-1-6 because it also showed up a second time in Colorado. On the 5th, we had the 6-1-9. So we've actually played 3 different versions over 2 different states using the same delta number there. So just some number patterns that really stuck out to me as I started to do these rundowns for these 2 different states. I wanted to share that with you. Definitely leave me a comment below if you see similar patterns working in your states. I'd be very interested. I think it's a coincidence, but I'd definitely be interested to hear if it's a pattern that's starting to trend across multiple different states. If we're seeing 9-1-6 showing up in multiple different states, or we're seeing this 1-3-5 come up as a deltas from multiple different states. That would be very interesting. Alright, moving on 6-5 in the evening again, we had a 6-8-5. And that was on our base grid. We had 8-6-5 right down here. 6-8-5, 8-6-5 box number right there. Then on the 6th of June, again in the evening. So the evenings are hitting pretty well out of these rundowns. We had a lot happening in Colorado. We're having a lot happening in Maryland as well. We had a 7-3-0. And that's right here, straight on our diagonal pattern, straight there. So that's a very strong hit right there. 7-3-0, straight across on the diagonal. Then on 6-8, in the midday this time, we had a 6-7-8. And again, on our base grid, so our base grid is definitely very popular. As with Colorado, the base grid was very popular. We only got a couple of hits out of the translated grid. Same is true with Maryland. We had a lot of hits from this base grid here. So we have 6-7-8 right here in the top right hand corner, which is another common pattern we play. So there's another straight number there. So we had 2 in a row. We had this straight here, and we had this straight here in the top corner. So very, very good showing from this rundown there. Then in 6-9, we had in the evening again, we had a 4-5-6, and that's in our translated grid. Another straight on one of our corner patterns, 4-5-6, right there. On the 11th of June, in the evening, we had a 039. And going back to our base grid here, we had 039 right there, 039. Hope you saw that. So that's another straight right there for that one. Running out of paper again. This is clearly a very popular, well-hidden rundown, because you know when we start running out of paper to write down our results, that's when we know we're hitting on a very good rundown here. So on 6/14, which was yesterday, the last day I've been tracking for this, in the midday, we had a 428. We'll go ahead and look at our translator grid. We've got 482 right there, so another box number straight from there. And then in the evening as well, we had a hit. We had on 6/14 in the evening, the result was a 615. So this one really rounds it off, because we saw a 165 here in our translated grid as a box number, and then we actually have the same again here, 615 right here as a straight in our base grid as well. So we hit twice, once on each grid for that 615 number. So there you go. There you have it. There's the Delta rundown. As I said, I'm really happy about how this one has been working out. So definitely go ahead and try it in your states. Very coincidental in some of those number patterns. Of course, I'm curious to see whether or not it shows up in other states as well. Definitely leave me a comment below. Please give me a thumbs up if you like this video and you like this rundown. Go ahead and try it in your state, and I'll catch you on the next video. Good luck.